We, the Gen X, are full of surprises, springing up by reinventing ourselves, rebuilding in various areas of our life like health, wealth, passion, purpose, a side hustle maybe, evolving and creating new identities in our midlife. How do we achieve these newly invented goals? What is that magic potion that creates a fire in the belly? Or what is that Gen X factor? I'm sure now you are all are curious to know to how do you unleash your own secret code. Hello everyone, welcome to Midlife Identity. I am Monica. Midlife Identity is a podcast where we speak about various concerns in midlife. It is about rebuilding and reinventing ourselves in midlife. The mission of Midlife Identity is to empower to build a legacy. Our guest for today's show is John Solleder, an author and has had a 42 years journey in network marketing. He has received the President's Cup and the Dr. Bunos Award. In his midlife, he has committed to longevity through various wellness practices. And on our show today, he will give us valuable insights on the ever evolving stages of his life to create a new identity and build a legacy. Hi, John. Welcome to Midlife Identity.
I appreciate the invitation.
We're doing good, absolutely fine. A pleasure to have you on this show today. So, yes, tell us a little about yourself. It's so, when I was just sharing a little bit about you on our show, it was very intriguing to know about your journey and your evolving identity at the various stages of your life. So, yeah, please do tell us about yourself.
Well, I started my very first business while I was in college. That was in April of 1983, a long time ago, 42 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But after midlife, I'm still going strong. I've authored a number of books, the most recent being Moving Up 2020,
Okay.
and of course,
Yes.
Leaving Nothing to Chance, which is the name of our podcast as well. You can find that under our name. So I did those in the last few years, and I became a podcaster when I produced those books because one came out in December of 2019, the other came out in February of 2020, and then of course this little thing happened called COVID. So I lost the ability to go out and speak at meetings. I was supposed to be in 60 cities over the first 6 months of
Mm-hmm.
2020. Well, I was in one. I was in Monterrey, Mexico, when COVID really kicked in, and that was the end of all that. So, like yourself, I became a podcaster and started to meet people all over the world by doing that particular medium. In my later years, I do a lot of writing. I'm writing an
Mm-hmm.
article right now for magazine, which is a medical magazine that'll be published sometime in August. I also write books on finance. A lot of people, not only seniors, but people in the network marketing arena, they don't really pay attention to finance enough. So I've published some books on things like final expense insurance, separate retirement accounts, and that sort of thing also. And you can get those on our website, johnsolleder.com. The regular books you can get on Amazon, of course, all over the world, and you can get them digital if you want. You can even get them in Spanish if you want. So that's a little bit of my activity. But yeah, I am a busy 64-year-old guy with no desire to slow down. I see the world as more interesting today than even when I was young for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
reasons. One, of course, is podcasting. I believe podcasting is the new media. And second to that, of course, AI. AI is opening so many doors in terms of marketing presence, not only for marketing yourself, but marketing different products and such over the internet. So I think it's a very exciting time to be alive.
Absolutely. It's so interesting, all that you're sharing. So, the best part is like you are keeping up with the technology, right? So, as you rightly said, right, way back, we did not have all of this, what we are facing today, and the technological changes. And we are actually updating ourselves and keeping ourselves in pace with what's happening. And that's how you have got into podcasting and connecting with people all over the world, as we are just doing right away. Correct, right now even we are connecting. You're in another part of the world, I'm in another part, and yes, we are speaking on a common topic about midlife and rebuilding ourselves, reinventing ourselves. So actually, very aptly that you said that, how you have all your wisdom, your knowledge, all your experiences, you have amalgamated all of it, and you are connecting with people and sharing all the wisdom and knowledge through your books, through your podcasts, and through connecting and speaking and meeting people, which is so interesting and really nice. Wherein I think the knowledge and the experience that we built over the years is very precious, and the more we share it, it definitely helps the coming generations and the people around us, right? So, but what inspired you to get into all of this? What inspired you? Like, as you said, you wrote the book, and because of COVID, you didn't have, you wouldn't go to all the cities. But still, what was it that even inspired you to write that book?
Well, it's interesting. It's a great question. I wrote my very first book in 2005, a long time ago.
Hmm.
It was under the same name, Moving Up. And the idea then was that Barack Obama gave a speech, and he talked about the fact that his mother had died fairly young and his father he never really knew very well. So he wrote a book before he was president, really for his kids, because he said if something were to happen to him, he wanted his kids to know, how he thought, what he thought, different opinions that he had. And I kind of took a page out of his book, so to speak, to say, let me do the same thing just in case something were to happen to me. My kids would know what I did for a living. They know some of the strategies and tactics that I helped to develop that created, you know, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in sales in the direct selling industry. Because a lot of what I've done, people have copied and used to build enterprise around the world. So I wanted them to know that, and I've been lucky now that I've lived all these years afterwards. But you never know. So
Yes.
that's my original inspiration. And then, of course, in 2020, because we were changing to 2020, you got 2020 vision, 20, a lot of things can be drawn on 2020. I thought, well, let's write a book about 2020.
Hmm.
And of course, not expecting that in the early parts of 2020 we'd have this horrible
COVID.
situation with COVID
Hmm.
around the world. But so that's kind of what inspired me. But in business, there's two words that have become really important, I believe,
Hmm.
pivot and agility. And the pivot for me was I lost the ability to go and speak at meetings in all of these different cities, but I was able to pivot to podcasting, which was the next best thing. Now, there's still a benefit to being live in a room and being able to shake somebody's hand and sign an autograph and talk to them face to face, obviously. But in the same breath, we were still able to communicate messages to people, okay, because of
Yes.
podcasting, Zoom calls, et cetera, et cetera. That's the pivot. The agility is having the agility to say, okay, I've got to move from here to here. And that's something in midlife that a lot of us have a challenge with. Well, I've always done it this way. I've always done it this way. Well, but if this way doesn't work anymore, or if this way is outdated,
Hmm.
you have to become agile in the respect that you're going to have to maybe change some things and move a certain direction that maybe you're not even comfortable with,
Hmm.
but still find that if you move that direction, it's the right direction to move. And that's something that as a senior, I talk to a lot of people about it. I'm sure you do too, Monica. Say, well, I've always done it this way.
Yes.
But and let me give you an example. In my business of direct selling,
Sorry. Hmm.
we've always done a lot of meetings like at the Holiday Inns here in the United States. Like Tuesday night and Thursday night were meeting night. Saturday morning, you'd have a meeting and then you'd have a training class. Well, that
Okay.
worked very well in the 1980s and even the 1990s and even the early parts of the 2000s. But then all of a sudden, because of the internet, because of things like Google, for example, TikTok, some of these other things that didn't exist when you and I were younger, that our kids, okay,
Hmm.
began to become familiar with. They said, I'm not going to come to that Tuesday night or Thursday night meeting. I don't know why I would come there in the first place.
Absolutely.
But they started to adopt things like Google or TikTok, and they started to build businesses in my industry. And in some cases, bigger, better, and certainly faster than I or my colleagues ever did in the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s. So all of a sudden, I had to open my eyes to the fact that these technologies were replacing things that I had done for years. And that's where the agility came in to say, okay, I need to learn about Google. I need to learn about TikTok. I need to learn about podcasting. I need to learn about AI. I need to learn about these things that I wasn't familiar with, but I had to be agile enough and willing enough, by the way, and open minded enough
Enough.
to adopt some of those things. And I have now in my business, and now my business is all over the world. My businesses are growing because we've adopted those things that those younger people showed me
The
work.
way.
My son was my teacher. He was 18 years old. He came into my business and he became the number one producer in my entire company, $200 million company. Became the number one producer in the United States in retail sales of our product at 18 in college. And he showed us all of us old guys basically that hey, there's another way to do things besides the way you thought. And now some of the older people in my company they've adopted, some of these strategies, and they're working well for them.
I'm sure. Absolutely. I totally so agree with you. It's all now, today's times, it's all about smart work. And if we do not adapt to these smart work practices, definitely you lag behind. And rightly, as you said, people, they do not want to adapt to the new technology. Of course, now everybody's changing and, is more open towards it. But there are a few who are still stuck in that loophole where they believe that they were successful then, they can be successful now, and they do not see, and they do not want to take that step forward, which is, I think, doesn't work over a period of time. Because if you're stuck in that loop, the world is moving so fast that you cannot catch up with the world if you are stuck in the loop of the past. So you have to keep on. And like, as now the next what we are facing is the AI, right? What do you have to say about AI? Because I'll tell you one thing, I have to admit to this. So okay, everybody says, okay, you must try this AI and, chat GPT and all of it. I have this particular fear. So now again, coming back to what I just spoke, I think I'm contradicting my own words when I said we're stuck in that loophole where people are not adapting to the new technology. And now when I'm talking about AI, so I'm thinking I'm going to contradict my own statement, saying that for me, when I tried the AI, the Copilot, and all of this, I suddenly felt so redundant in the sense that I will not be using my brains. So I have to just put up, that okay, I want a proposal for this. And AI gives you a complete proposal. And I felt so, I didn't feel good because I felt I'm not using my brains. I'm not using the power of my language. I am not using my thought process, my step by step, what I have learned, putting it all out, because that's how generally we do it, right? And when I sat with AI, I found all of this and I was like, okay, now what? What is your take on this? And like, again, we're talking about we have to adapt, be agile, and not be agile. What is it? Tell me about this. Now, this is really intriguing. I have to know.
About a year ago, I was typical old guy. I don't want to know about AI. That's a younger person's thing. And then, interestingly enough, with my podcast, I got an email one day,
Hmm.
a guy talking about a show I had done previous. And he said all these very flattering, nice things, which, as a podcaster, you love to hear, hey, your show's great and wonderful and all of that. So he said, I'd like to be on your show. So I contacted him back. And then he told me after I interviewed him, he didn't write the email. AI had written the email to me. Now, at first, you feel a little bit bond, a little bit like, well, wait a minute, a robot basically wrote that email. But then
Mm.
I started to open myself up to what he was doing, and I started to number one, meet other podcasters using AI. That was one thing. So it got me on shows, got guests on my shows.
Okay.
Secondly, in the network marketing business, I started to use it, and we started to get some sales with it, using it with some of our existing technology. And I said, this is really interesting. So now I'm the other way. I am like a lover of AI.
Okay.
So now there's a downside. The downside of AI is it's going to replace a lot of jobs. All
Right.
right, it is what it is. Okay, I mean Jeff Bezos with Amazon's already replaced people. Some of the other big companies, I know Elon Musk has replaced people. I know others are going to replace people. But what do we need to do, especially for those of us that are past midlife?
Mm-hmm.
We need to adapt where we can use AI either in our current business environment.
Hmm.
How do we make what we're selling or marketing better using AI? Okay, and there's plenty of ways to do that. Or if we're in a job situation where our job is replaced by AI, how do I learn something new? How do I pivot? Okay, once again, to something else. Like I had to pivot to podcasting, for example, to get my books out there. How do you do that? Okay, you find a side hustle. You find
Mm-hmm.
something that you can do either on the internet if you've got those skills and you like that type of business. Not everybody likes that type of business, obviously. Or you find something that you can do, okay, that's different to make up that income maybe that you've lost from a prior situation. Now, that's not great. It's not a great answer, but it's where we are right now in the economy, not only here in the United States and India, but around the world.
World.
Everybody that's listening to your show,
Absolutely.
we've got the same concerns. What if what I do, I'm replaced by the robot? So you have to always be looking and pivoting. Now, the great thing is, because of AI, so many different opportunities exist that didn't exist 5 years ago, even. And 5 years from now, there'll be even more that we can't even imagine. I mean, who thought at one time that you could pick up your phone, right? Pick this thing up that didn't exist when we were young, right?
Yes.
I started my first business, the phone was plugged into the wall. Today, I can run the space shuttle on this thing, right? There's more technology in my phone than there is
Then
in what,
anywhere else.
right?
Absolutely.
Who thought you could pick up your phone and go ding, 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 and I want a pizza delivered to my door while we're doing this podcast, and I'll have one by the time we're done.
Right.
Who could see that? Well, obviously somebody did because somebody created that app as an example. Or I don't want to take a cab. I'm in a big city like you live in Bombay, for example, or I live in Dallas, and I need a cab to take me to the airport. Okay. Well, rather than picking up the phone and calling somebody, I can go ding, 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 and some guy will show up on my front doorstep here in the next 2 minutes to take me where I want to go. And I don't have to mess with paying him. I'll pay on this thing.
This, absolutely.
I mean, those are examples, and there's so many others that exist of all of these opportunities that didn't exist at one time that do exist today. But once again, you have to be open to them. You have to be willing to say, hey, yes, we did things a different way. No question about that earlier on. Okay.
Yes.
I'll give you one other one. The last election here in the United States. Okay. Donald Trump got on over 100 podcasts with people like you and I. Some famous, Joe Rogan being super famous, the rest not being so famous. Just people like you and I that have shows, have followings, have people that listen to their show about different topics. On over 100 podcasts. Now, Kamala Harris, she only got on four. Now, is that why he won the election? Well, I don't know exactly, but here's what I'll say. Okay, this isn't a political statement, folks, so I'm not endorsing Donald Trump or slamming Kamala Harris, but here's what I can say. He reached people that weren't watching the three big networks in the United States. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox are the three big network news channels that people our age watch. But the people under 40 don't watch them. But what do? They listen to podcasts. They listen to people like you and I. Okay. So comes that next election in the US, and probably the same in India, and probably the same in other countries around the world. The people who want to get elected are going to say, if I want to talk to every potential voter, I need to talk to Monica. I need to talk to John. I need to talk to these people who have people that listen to them
Then
that don't necessarily trust those big media outlets for whatever reason. Okay. So this is something, once again, in midlife, this is something that we not only need to be tuned into, find some
Mhm.
shows that you like. I mean, there's 4 million shows right now in English alone, for example. So there's a lot of choices. You're interested in whatever you're interested in, health,
There's everything
just
available for everyone.
plenty of topics out there, plenty of good speakers out there. But at the same time, you might even want to start a podcast. Okay, it's some work, as Monica can attest, and I can attest. There's some work involved with it, but you can do it, and you might want to do that and get your voice out there in terms of what it is that you know. Because as midlifers, we got a lot of experience. The gray hair that I have here, some of it was caused by my kids, Monica. You probably have the same problem. Some of it was caused by my kids, but you've earned this gray hair with experience.
Experience.
You
A
got all
lot
this
of wisdom
you got all this great stuff that you can share, not only with our generation,
with
but with
everyone.
exactly. So why not share it? Why not be a
Absolutely.
voice?
Yeah,
You
so I
know,
mean, these platforms give you a voice. You can just share, you express. So, about what you know, your knowledge, your wisdom, your experiences. And there is a lot where, people know it. But I think some people, certain things, but it is, not clearly on the face. But once you hear it, you resonate with it and you say, oh, yeah, I was thinking of the same. So you can, take the necessary steps or actionable steps that you have to take once you listen into these podcasts. So yes, of course, I mean, this is one of the greatest platforms, and exactly why I have started. I'll be completing 3 years for my podcast next month, and it has been such a fantastic and a fabulous journey for me. And yes, I'm meeting people from around the world. That is so enriching by itself, sitting across, speaking to you, meeting new people and who can share their experiences, and we have a nice chat, and the world can tune in, listen to it, and just pick up what they can resonate with. Like just now, as you said about, that the experiences we have to give a voice. People should do things in our midlife where we can reach out even to the younger generation, because the younger generation, they are exposed to a very different world right from the start, and we have been exposed and actually tried and tested a lot of things to reach here. And we are very lucky and very open that we have been embracing AI today as we just spoke about it. So we are all ongoing. So just tell me one thing. I'm very curious, after all that you have shared, I have to know, what were you as a young John, and
mm,
what are you today? Who are you? And tell us all about that.
the young John wanted to be a broadcaster. That was well, I wanted to be a professional athlete, and I got hurt unfortunately, so that didn't work out. But I always loved athletics. From the time I was a little boy, I always loved sports. So I always thought I want to be a broadcaster or a writer, a sports writer, something like that. I went to college for communications and journalism. I went to Seton University in New Jersey, graduated in 1983, a long time ago. Never thinking I would get into business. Just like that wasn't me. I was gonna work for like a newspaper or magazine. That was what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I found out early on though there wasn't a lot of money in that, so it was like I pivoted. I guess I didn't think of it as a pivot back then, but a friend of mine introduced me to the direct selling industry in 1983. And it was a guy I respected a lot. He was a real good collegiate wrestler and high school wrestler. So he introduced me to the concept of direct selling, and I got involved. And I used my communication skills, my speaking skills, to build a business. And that's kind of where it all started. Now, the older me is kind of, things, how they say things go full
Full
circle?
circle.
It's kind of like between writing and, doing podcasts. I'm kind of back where I started, that I'm doing communications every single day, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's word or the verbal word like we're using now. and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I really, like yourself, I'm meeting so many fascinating, interesting people all over the place. I mean, this week alone, I've done calls with people in Atlanta, Georgia, California, Canada, England, India. Over the last few months, Australia, New Zealand. I'm forgetting a few places, mostly North America.
Okay.
But and just meeting fascinating, interesting people that have had interesting lives, interesting careers. And the biggest thing is, just like you and I, they're not done yet. They're still doing
Yes.
things. They're still going
We've
places. They're
just begun. We've
Yeah,
just begun. That's how I feel. Every day there is something, I have to still keep going. I've just begun. There's so much to explore. And there are times where, you feel this, you don't know how much time is left. We aren't that, we don't know. So speaking on that, I remember you telling me something about your commitment to longevity. Tell us a little more about what is it that you do, for good life, into wellness. What are your new wellness practices in your midlife for leading a nice, healthy existence?
well, a few things. Number one, I take a glutathione supplement every day.
Hmm.
Uh, Here it is. It's in this little package here. And glutathione is in every cell in your body.
Hmm.
Okay, but it's primarily in your liver, your lungs, and the whites of your eyes. So I enhance it with a product that I not only take, but I also help to market it. I'm the top marketing person in the world with this particular brand. And if you're interested, you can reach me at johnsolleder.com and I can tell you more about it if you're interested in taking it or marketing it. We're in 18 countries and growing. So, one way, shape, or form, we can get the product to you if you're interested. Just contact me on that. In addition to that, I exercise every day. Okay. And well, let me put it this
Can
way.
I can you give me 1 minute, please? Sorry. So the product which you just showed us and you shared about it, I would just like to tell our viewers and our listeners that this is completely something that you follow and what you are talking about. And midlife identity. Disclaimer, I have not tried the product. I'm not aware and not clear on all of this. So whatever John is sharing, it is from his side, what he believes in, and you're marketing it. So yes, midlife identity. There's no promotion onto this, and has not tried it. So the views are what John wishes to share. You can continue, please.
No problem. So you can contact me on that. I can send you information if you're interested, folks. John Solleder, Solleder, .com. And so that's one thing I do, but that's only one of the things that I do. I exercise at least 6 days a week, sometimes seven.
Mhm.
All the research shows that as we age, we have to do a lot of resistance training. What is resistance training? Well, that's weights. But what if you don't have weights? What if you don't have a gym close to your house, for example? Can you find some rocks? Can you find some cinder blocks? Can you find, something to lift every single day? It's very important as we get older that we do resistance training. A lot of people use bands. Bands are great too. Okay, different tension that you can set in a band, for example. So I'm a firm believer in resistance training, and even more so with resistance training now in my 60s than I was in my 30s or 40s when I was a competitive athlete in the sport of judo, where we are always pulling on things because that's the sport. Um, but I'm a firm believer in it because it keeps your body working. It makes your body resist. And I
This
love the word resistance. So that's very, very important. If you have nothing, okay, that you can lift, okay, hey, nothing better than push ups, okay, or get a yoga mat, do
planks.
some yoga stretches, and just find something to push and pull every single day. Very, very important, once again, for our longevity. Um, Third thing I do is what I call cold water therapy. Okay, Wim Hof, the out of Holland, he's made this very, very
Famous.
Wim's everywhere. But I didn't start it. I didn't know who Wim was when I started jumping into cold water. We had a crazy storm here in Texas in
Mhm.
2020, COVID was a crazy time, and we had this crazy weather where we had a week of ice in Texas. That's been like having a week of ice in Bombay. I mean, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't, we cannot understand that.
You get the odd cold day, but I mean, it just we don't have ice, and we had a week of it, and my pool actually froze, and I was chasing my dog, and I fell in the pool, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to get pneumonia. I'm going to get sick. I got out of the pool and I felt great. I said to my wife, I said, wow, there's something to that. So all of a sudden we started doing that, and as things would have it, the universe shows up sometimes, right? About 2 weeks later, I'm watching television, and a guy named Brian Gumbel had a show on sports that I would occasionally. Well, I didn't even watch it on a regular basis, but I'm watching it, and he says our next guest climbs mountains in his shorts in the middle of winter. We think he's insane. His name is Wim Hof, and all of a sudden I watch this guy Wim Hof, and he's climbing up a mountain in his shorts, and the broadcaster's got a parka on, that's filming him and interviewing him, and he's got his shorts on, he's laughing, and he's up there freezing. So I became a big believer in not only in what Wim was doing, but the other research out of Denmark that exists and some of the other European countries on cold water therapy. And
Absolutely.
that's been a big thing too, because I've had a number of surgeries on my back, on my shoulder, on my knees, all things that I was born with, and then sports related where I had further injuries and surgeries. So I became a big believer in cold water therapy as well. And the other thing I did was I changed my diet. 8 years ago, I would have filled this whole screen up. I was about 80 pounds heavier than I am now. I
Mhm.
adopted a vegetarian diet 8 years ago. And then last year, a year ago, January 2024, January 1st, 2024, I went to a raw vegan diet,
Okay.
and pretty radical. Okay, a lot of changes, a lot of stuff even as a vegetarian that you can eat that all of a sudden you can't eat. But I really got very, very into eating a lot of fruit. I still eat some vegetables, but fruit became my number one thing that I consume every single day. Everything from papayas to watermelon to cantaloupe, honeydew, a lot of melons, a lot of berries.
Mhm.
I absolutely love my fruit, and it's been very, very good. Not only for my weight, but more importantly for everything else, my blood pressure, my blood count, everything else. When I go to the doctor, this is funny, Monica. I go to my
Okay.
doctor once a year for a big physical, and I went last summer, and he's 72, so he's got 8 years on me. And in good shape. He rides his bicycle a lot. He's in good shape. But he said, "What in the world are you doing?" And I started to tell him, and he said, "You know what's funny? I'm doing the same thing." So I'll
Okay.
see him in July, and we'll see how he's doing on what he's doing. But he said, "I'm doing that because I've been watching you the last couple of years, and all your numbers improve every year. As we get older, our numbers generally don't improve. They normally go the wrong way. So my
Yes.
numbers have improved. And then just the other thing is that I believe we should move our body every single day.
There.
Okay, even if you can't get to the gym, even if you've got such a tremendous work schedule, or you're busy, or you're sick, or something, try to find a way to move your body. What I mean by that is walk if you can, but if you can't, find a way to just move. You've got to move your body. If you look at the ancient cultures, okay, the Chinese, for example, right? The Indian people, okay, with yoga, very into movement, not
Movement.
necessarily where they're out running marathons, but they're moving, be it Tai Chi, for example, okay, or yoga. Very good to just move the body. And you see a lot of people, a lot older than you and I are, that are still in good shape because they've got that movement every single day. We have to adopt that, especially here in the West where we just don't move enough. We think if we don't go to the gym that we can't work out. Well, you can go walk your dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walk around the block. Find a way to move every single day. Very, very important to longevity also.
Yes, it is. It is actually very important to put in these lifestyle changes. As the pointers that you said, it's about the diet that you follow, the movement that you have every day, and definitely as we age, it is we lose our flexibility, we lose our muscle mass. So strength training, as you just spoke about, is so important for us because it builds our muscle, which we have to focus on. I'm not an expert, but we can just, I'm speaking again from experience and what we practice. And you too, what you are practicing, you're sharing from your personal experiences. Wherein, when you have a healthy diet, definitely you're more energetic. If you do yoga, movement every day, you're very flexible. It's like, it's as simple. You buy a car, if you don't get it serviced, one by one, the parts start giving up. So our body is exactly the same. So we have to see to it that every part of our body is serviced from time to time, and it has to be really, really well taken care of. And the fuel is the food that we eat, and that food, if you put quality fuel, the car just races. So the same way, if we eat quality food, good food, fruits, as you spoke about, berries, a vegan diet, what you're, in fact, even in India, I did try vegan diet for about say 6 months, but then I was not very strict. It's like not hardcore, but a little bit, just going off milk, trying almond milk, a little changes. Yes, I'm a vegetarian since always quite many years now. So we just try to put in a little few things which would definitely help us, and all of these practices definitely is like reverse aging. And a few all of us who are practicing this can actually swear by it, and by just adding a few of all of these things in our midlife can change the whole trajectory of our aging, I think, right? Do you agree to that?
100%. The other thing I've become a firm advocate in is water fasting. I did a 21-day water fast last June. I did a 10-day water fast about 5 years ago. I've got one coming up late June. I'm going to do another 10-day
But I'm
water.
sure you would be doing all of this under some guidance, right?
Yes. The water fasting, I always tell people, make sure that you've got medical guidance. Okay.
Guidance, yes, because what happens is sometimes, like, if people who are tuning into our podcast and they would hear this, and if they would try that, okay, come on, they all look quite good and they're doing it for 21 days, doesn't nothing seems wrong. But I think it's strictly to be done under medical guidance. Please do not attempt all of this on your own, because you do not know how everybody reacts and what is going on inside your body. We would never know, so it has to be under medical guidance, right?
What I tell people is like the two that I did, the 10-day and the 21-day. Okay. I
Okay.
had medical supervision with both. Okay. Your vital signs and all that. You do not do this on your own. And the other thing is, here's something. I talk to people all the time about fasting, and they tell me, "Oh yeah, I went about my regular schedule." And I said one or two things: either you're lying to yourself that you were eating and you were telling people you weren't, or you didn't do it right, because you got to rest. All right. One of
Rest.
the things that I did in both cases, the first one I did in a medically supervised clinic in Austin, Texas, with a doctor basically there 24 hours a day. Just checking my vital signs, my weight, how I felt, et cetera, et cetera. And then 21-day, I did the same thing. I did that one here in Dallas, but same thing with medical supervision. Okay. But the other thing is the rest. You can't be out running the streets, going to the gym, lifting the weights, going to work. You got to take the time, because with fasting, you are going to get exhausted.
Yes.
And what could happen is, you and I could be having a conversation like this, and you get off and you go, wow, I'm just tired. And you got to sleep. You just got to rest and give
Yes.
your body the rest that it needs, because you're running on no fuel. So
Yes, absolutely. And it's like, the car is just not moving forward. You just need to take a break, relax. And actually the idea of water fasting is exactly that. It's that your body needs complete rest. So you have to move away from your routines. You have to be like, minimize your routines completely, so that, because I've realized one thing, whenever I have tried this, you do feel a little more drowsy and sleepy. You're not energetic. Like, maybe you wake up energetic, but over the day you start feeling very sleepy, very drowsy, very low on energy. So you have to just go very, very slow. So yes, of course, see, these are a few tips which are very general tips, what we are sharing from our personal experiences. So whoever wants to ever try it, please seek medical guidance, medical supervision, and please do it at your own personal discretion. And these are our experiences. Yeah.
The other thing, and I'll add to that, you're absolutely right. I had a physical in both cases before I started these fasts.
Yes,
So
whether you are fit enough for
yeah,
these kind of practices.
right.
Absolutely.
My doctors were involved in the process. Okay, so it wasn't something I just said, "Hey, it sounds like a great idea. Let's try it." You don't jump into these things. Okay, and is there benefits? There's tremendous benefits, but at the end of the day, there's also risk inherent with it. So just be just
Cautious and very very careful, because see, it's like, you know what, I wake up today and I say, come on, I'm going to climb about 7 flight of stairs, 7 floors I'm going to climb. If you're not fit enough, you've never climbed 2 staircases, you've never walked, definitely you cannot climb the 7 floors, and you're going to go under exhaustion. You could have any, or you could have a fall, anything can go, and your heart, your body will not take it. Just, I mean, all of these practices are all on similar lines. You have to be ready, you have to be fit enough to get into any of all of these practices.
and the other one, don't drive. Okay, because once again, you're just this isn't to scare you folks. Okay, I'm a firm believer in doing this, but you got to do it. And as Monica is saying, I agree 100%. You got to do it right, do it with right supervision, but you've got to rest. The idea is like, for example, there's a number of different fasting clinics around the world. There's one in San Jose, California, or Santa Rosa. There's another one down in Costa Rica, and there's ones throughout the world. You go there to rest. You're on vacation, basically. You're there to consume, rest, read, be quiet, meditate, stretch. You're not there to be running a company or making big decisions. That's the other thing. You don't want to be making decisions of any kind, of any serious nature. So here's what I'll say. You've got to be self-ish to be selfless. Now, that sounds like a contradiction, and it is. But let me tell you what I mean. When I do these type of things that to a lot of people they think are a little out there, okay? I do that because I want my family to have me around for a long time.
Longer time.
Okay. So I'm being selfish in terms of, okay, I'm not going to work for a couple of weeks. I'm not going to make money for a couple of weeks. Okay. But, and I'm going to do it with medical supervision, which means I'm going to spend money to do it. Okay. But I'm doing that to increase my health and longevity. So I then can turn around and take care of my family better for a longer period of time. In my case, my kids are in college. Even though I'm in my 60s, I started my family late, and everybody's circumstance is different, right? So you say you're being selfish on the one hand, so you can become selfless to serve other people. You can
Absolutely.
only do that if you're in good health. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're in bad health, it's going to be real difficult to perform at an optimum level.
So, I mean, that's how it is said, health is wealth, right? This is the adage we've been hearing all our lives. And definitely, so, all of these practices is, as you said, you want to live longer and healthier lives. It is about, just cutting yourself away. So, in your midlife, and when you're approaching, as we're approaching into our 60s and 70s, as we're growing older, we need to take a step back, reflect on our health. What are the areas which we have to look into? I think along with the health, along with all of this, we have to even reflect on ourselves. What are the changes that we can be making? Reflect about what mistakes maybe we have done and how we can take our life forward from here. Health is one part, yes. Then again, there is another part where I believe about our mindset, about how do we change our mindset as we are growing older. We hold on to the baggage of our past. We hold on to maybe the regrets, maybe all the mistakes we have done, or maybe certain conducts we have done, wherein we just keep on thinking and giving it a lot of space and room in our heads that we should not have done that, and how do I change it, and what do I do about that? So that self reflection also is a very important part in our midlife, which sometimes we just push it out beneath us and we don't want to look at it, and suddenly one day it'll surface, and it actually shakes you up and you wonder what happened. and then you don't know what was it, what was that trigger. So it is very important to even reflect on these parts of our lives wherein we just need to just clean up, forgive people, ask for forgiveness, just move on, live a happy life. That adds to our longevity. It's not only these practices, but along with these practices, cleaning up our mind, having a healthy mind, and learning to stay calm, learning to do a lot of breath work, learning to meditate would definitely add to our longevity. What do you have to say on?
Absolutely, because meditation is once again a life examen, right? When we meditate is when we go into that place. Jesus went into a closet, for example. Other great leaders, thinkers have isolated themselves. Why? To get clear on things. Okay, why should we be any different? Right? We have to be basically sometimes think about our life. Okay, things that we could do better,
Yes.
things that mistakes we don't want to repeat. Right, and when I meditate is when these things just my mind just kind of gets freed on what it is that I need to do. I get clarity sometimes, okay, of the message that I need to communicate with other people, be it in a business way, be it in a family way, just be it with myself. I mean, I'm still evolving. At 64, I'm still figuring out who I am. I have a lot of stuff, baggage, okay, that I have to deal with from past things, past decisions that I've made. Nothing terrible, okay, but things that I could have done differently, that in the future I'll do differently. How I deal with people, for
Yes.
example, it's sometimes out of meditation. I have some difficult people I have to deal with in my life, and sometimes I get that clarity of, hey, maybe this is the way to deal with this person versus this way, right? Deal with them positively as opposed to negatively, for example, and how to do so. And I get that when I meditate.
Yes, actually, meditation takes you into that space where you're so neutral. You're completely in a neutral zone where you get so many insights about yourself and the world around you. And you actually learn the art of responding and not reacting, which is so important because everything that we do is a reaction or a response to the actions that's happening around us. So if we are angry, also, it is something has happened. Our reaction, anger, or when you maybe just a meltdown, whatever it is a reaction to that particular situation. So going into meditation, I think actually aids you in not reacting very strongly, aggressively. It is about responding in a calmer mind. So it mellows you down, it tones you down. So many times I've seen people, what they tell me, whoever I speak to, so many people, and they tell, we wouldn't want to meditate, and we fear meditation because they feel that they would just switch paths. They would not be themselves. So if I am that angry person, or that person who's got fire all the time, they feel that meditation will bring down the fire, will mellow down, but they do not understand that meditation will open up the insides, will expand their mind, and there'll be so much more they can absorb than you can absorb as a normal person. Because meditation even enables you your ability to absorb, understand the clarity of any situation. Your thinking powers change completely. I can actually say all of this because I am into meditation, literally deep meditations every day. I try, definitely. And it definitely has changed. I have seen the change, how it expands your heart. So people who ever are thinking, okay, so in India, we call it, like you may become like a godly kind of a person. You're very scared of being that kind when you're into meditation. So we would not meditate as much because I want to stay that strong, fiery kind of a person. So they feel the personality would change. So it is the personality changes into our hands, and not a meditation can change your personality. So all of this definitely adds. So in midlife, certain practices of these meditation, lifestyle changes, all of this is going to take us towards longevity, and our mindsets is going to be cleansed. We have to just clean up a lot of it, all the baggage also. We have to work on that part also in our midlife. What else would you like to tell our viewers about one, okay, I'll just rephrase my question. Give us that one tip in our midlife which is going to take us 10x faster in today's age and day.
Well, it's really something very simple, and you just really described it with meditation, and that is to breathe. We don't breathe enough, especially in the West. We're not as conscious as people are in other parts of the world about breathing here in America and Canada, for example. Just breathe, okay? And like, okay, you're breathing. You don't have to think about breathing, but just listen to your breath, okay? Close down one side of your nose, for example. Okay, close that other side of your nose. Take that time and just listen to yourself breathe with your eyes closed, and then make a decision in how you're going to handle something. This
Yes.
is something that when I was younger, I was one of those people. I was a spur of the moment. You said something, I reacted to it. It was like a tennis match. You hit the ball, I hit the ball back. Now it's kind of like, okay, let me
Bring it
just.
on. Is it bring it on?
And this is, call it age, call it wisdom, call it maturity, call it whatever you want to call it. But I think if we just take that moment to breathe into a situation, whatever it is, family situation, health situation, business situation, whatever it happens to be, to just take that pause. I think you'll not only will you live longer, but you're going to live better, more importantly, in the years that you are still here, because it calms the body, it calms the mind,
Right.
and it gives us that ability to make that decision based on all that wisdom and experience. It doesn't mean it's always going to be right, by the way, but you're going to be a
Absolutely.
lot calmer and happier, more important. Again, and that's the greatest. I think that's the greatest challenge, Monica, throughout life, is to find how to be happy. We're
Happy.
so busy making a living, we're so busy paying the bills, that we forget sometimes that our Creator wanted us to be happy.
Happy. The small little joys in life, we just overlook them.
Exactly. I have 4 dogs, for example. Okay, I don't have any grandchildren yet. I hope to in the next few years, but I don't have any grandkids yet. But I have 4 dogs, and sometimes I will just spend time with the dog. And dogs are interesting creatures. They're very intelligent, and they've all got 4 dogs, 4 different personalities. Okay, and sometimes I will just spend time with them breathing, where I'll just breathe and they look at me, and then all of a sudden it's like we kind of are communicating in that calmness, and it calms them down too. I have
Down.
one dog that's got a very fast heart rate. He's got a heart problem. We adopted him, and we knew he had a heart problem, and it calms him down because he gets very very hyper, and it's like it calms him down. So a lot of times this is communicated subtly, even to another species rather than a human being.
On a
So
human.
Dr. Omoto, some people are familiar with his work. He was a Japanese scientist, and how we treat stuff is important. He did a study with 2 glasses of water. I don't know if you familiar with it. You know the study I'm talking about.
No, you can't continue.
And what he did was he took 1 glass of water, he put it in a room, and he told the people to go in and swear at it and tell it it was ugly and it was horrible and it was
Yes.
terrible and blah blah blah. Took the same glass of water, different glass of water, okay. Told the people, go and tell us beautiful. We love you. We think a lot of you. We respect you. 2 glasses of water, okay? And then they put them under a dark field microscope. The glass of water that was sworn at and told it was ugly was terrible. The crystals in it looked horrible. Conversely, the one that the people went in and they told it, hey, you're beautiful. We
Beautiful.
love you. Had these beautiful, like you wanted to drink it, you wanted to shower in it, you wanted to put it on your body. The other one, you wouldn't put in your garden. And you say, now those are 2 glasses of water, inanimate objects. So picture when we deal with a human being, we treat them real negative versus treating them real positive.
Positive.
And I don't know how good that science is, frankly. Okay, I've read things about it, pro and con. But here's what I can tell you: having dealt with thousands of people throughout my 40 plus years in business and my 60 plus years as a human being. When I've treated people positively, the outcome has been really, really good.
Beautiful. Sure.
And when I treat them negative, it's not the same. And it takes all this energy to be negative, where the other comes out and it's so positive and it's
Positive.
good and it's happy and it's good for both parties. That's how we have to live our lives, is telling people, hey, I believe in you. You can do what you need to do. I've got you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to help you. I love you. Okay. That's how we have to treat each other as human beings. And if we did that, the world would be a lot better place, right? A lot happier place. There'd be less wars. People wouldn't be killing each other, okay, over land and territory and God knows what. The world would be a better place, frankly.
I'm
So,
sure.
that's just something that I believe in. I only learned about that study a couple of years ago, but it made so much logical sense to me in how I approach things.
Yes, and actually, the study that you're speaking about is that we believe in India, all of us here, we believe that water carries energy. So
Mhm.
when exactly what you said, when it was sworn into and it was spoken with love. So water definitely absorbs a lot of energy, and that's what you absorb. And within you, for us, even we believe that when you cook food or whatever food you eat, it passes on that energy which goes into you as well, and that's how you react and respond. So beautifully you said these words that live positively, spread love, and have that kind of an attitude that yes, we have your back, we are going to support you. And the similar way, I believe that the universe supports us, and through the universe we have this message that yes, we are going to support all the mankind, we are with everyone, and have a very positive feeling and be out there to contribute and give back to the world in whatever way you can. That is something what I really strongly believe in, because I think at this juncture in our lives, that is one thing that we can really be able to do, is just contribute and give back. And of course, in any form that one wants to and is capable of, just not look at yourself, but let's look at the world and be there, give back, do whatever you want to do, and make it a better world and a better place to live in. Yes. Wow, John, it was so wonderful speaking to you. What insightful conversation, and the words that you have shared, the examples you've given, and all the tips and all the suggestions and everything that you've shared with our viewers and the listeners about how is it that we are going to take our life from here. Midlife is, yes, midlife at post 50, 45, 50, whatever. But where we take our life from here when we enter our 60s, and how are we taking life from here till we are there on this beautiful mother earth. So till then, how we are going to live it, you've given us beautiful examples, and yeah, I'm sure all of us are going to follow it. And yes, as John also said, disclaimers to everything. Everything has to be done under medical supervisions and under, be very particular and careful of how do you take these tips. But it is amazing that this is the best way to live, and we are in the best times today. And with technology, with medications, with everything around us is so much advanced, and our generation is here to experience all of this, and to experience still further the next 10, 15, 20 years. We should be in the best of our health, wealth, and in the minds, yes, to take our lives further. Any last words you would like to share with our viewers?
Everything you just said there, I agree 1,000%. Yes, but everything is a caveat. Okay, once again, medical supervision with any of the things that we talked about, obviously. Second to that, though, yeah, age is a number, and
Right.
it's a number on your driver's license. Okay? It doesn't have to be something that you say, I have to do something because of this particular number. Now, there's financial things and things like that you certainly need to do, but at the end of the day, okay, don't buy into the fact that because you're a little bit older, you can't do what you want. There are people, and we don't have time right now to get into it, but I follow a number of scientists who are in their 90s that are still touring the world giving lectures on a regular basis. In their 90s, 30 years older than I am. They're still getting on airplanes, going to different parts of the world and educating people. So, it's not over unless you decide that it's over.
It's all.
We're only just beginning, and this generation, we've earned our gray hair with lots of experience. Take advantage of everything that our generation has created, because even AI came as a result of our generation. So take advantage of it. Don't let it bypass you and be a bystander. Take advantage of it. Find something to do with it. Be creative.
Wow, those are such fabulous words. Thank you so much for being on our show. It was such a wonderful conversation, and I'm going to just hold on to every tip that you have given. I'm going to put it all into practice and understand and take my life forward from here. Thank you for being on our show. And yes, thank you, our dear viewers, for tuning in. Thank you.